Assalamu alaikum and good day, everybody. Hope you all are doing great. Welcome to the Banking Panel Dialogue. Amid all of this turbulence time, we've all come to realize that the future of organization lies with resilient teams and agile working methodology. Like many organizations who shifted on work from home, there were yet some frontline heroes who actually had to come to office ensuring that they answer and serve the customers. And such heroes are one segment of such heroes is the banking sector, where our branches throughout this entire period remain open and all of the branch staff actually had to be there. Such workforce deserves our utmost respect and lots of appreciation. I am Samiha Zahid, CHRO for Mobilink Bank, and I will be moderating this session today. Today's discussion with our distinguished guest panelists will be around how they turned the odds in their favor and ensured a smooth sail for the people and their organization. Please welcome with me our panelist, Mr. Mohammed Umer, Country Head for Standard Chartered Bank, Ms. Alia Zafar, EVP Head HR for Askari Bank, and Ms. Asma Sheikh, CHRO for National Bank of Pakistan. Asma will be joining us in a little while. So in the meanwhile, we can have that. Thank you, both of you, for joining us and for your time. And I would like to begin with Umar because Umar, you're the odd one out between the two females right now. So I'd like to ask you, how has the current situation helped you adapt to the future of banking?
Thank you, Samir. I think that's the case in HR, right? And we also worked on DNI a lot, so I don't mind that actually, being the odd one out. Uh, uh, you know, uh, Future of banking is digitization. We all know that, right? I think it's more of a ways of working that we would like to change to adopt the future of banking, which is more towards digitization, right? This whole situation, apart from the anxiety, fear that this pandemic created among ourselves, I think this it helped us to steer the mindset change that we would like to bring in people in terms of flexible working and working from home,
Very true.
right? So, and because they were forced to work from home, and the apprehensions or the issues that even the line managers or the individual himself have, they did not have any choice, right? So but when they started, obviously organizations responsibility was to facilitate that they can deliver on their objectives, or even in some cases service their clients seamlessly,
Yes.
because the call center people were also working from home in our bank, so they were
Ah,
actually
wonderful.
dealing with the customers also. I think that this is something that, and obviously the biggest challenge that people would see in working from home or flexible working was the productivity, right? But what we have observed, that this the myth that if you are work from home or if you work flexibly, the productivity goes down. That myth was completely untrue, right? And
Right.
during this, after a couple of months, we did a survey in the organization around flexible working and people's preference, staff's preference around flexible working. Lot of people actually wanted to work from home, right? So now what we are doing, actually, we are redesigning our jobs in a manner to see if these jobs can be done from home or flexibly, and what
Excellent.
are the changes that we need to bring in. And uh, this will save a lot of cost for the organization in terms of premises, right?
Very
And
true.
this cost can be reinvested in the technology infrastructure that would be required for people to work from home, right? But we also understand, so this is, and obviously people are saving lot of time from commuting to work, getting ready
Oh,
for the
yes,
work, right? So
absolutely.
and then now they have ample time to spend with the families. And this pandemic has one thing that we have learned during this pandemic is that time is precious. We have seen people around us who were young, healthy, and due to this disease or this virus, they
Yes,
actually lost their lives, right? So
yes,
people were also very very sensitive about it. Also, so that also, let me tell you one thing, because when we did the survey, actually our ENPS score, which is Net Promoter Score, that people would recommend Standard Chartered to their friends and families to work for, has doubled from last year.
wow, that's
Right.
amazing.
So the all the actions that we took during this pandemic time or this difficult time actually changed people's mindset for the organization also. Now they are looking at organization very differently, right? So this is the other thing that we always wanted in the organization, and we invested a lot on that also, the self learning culture, because we have world class digital platforms available, right? And we wanted people to go and learn new skills and upskills themselves. I think this pandemic will this situation actually gave them a lot of opportunity or spare time to invest on themselves,
That's an excellent point.
right?
Yes,
And the uptake of these digital platform has actually quadrupled during this pandemic time. And what we did, that we actually had two uh, virtual learning weeks, where we had virtual sessions with people and told them how to use these tools available for learning, right? So that
that's
is
good.
the other thing which we also realized, that yes, working from home is on one side is a good thing, but it also create little lot of stress in people, because you are not interacting with your line manager, you are not physically meeting people. So we actually introduced employee assistance program, so counseling services to all our employees and their families, because any mental stress that they have, any financial issue they have, any other issue they have within their family or in their family, they can actually go and consult
I think
the,
that's an excellent initiative.
right. The one more thing I think which is very important, that during this time, pe- people manager were not ready or were not equipped how to deal with their staff remotely, right? And we
So
actually
true.
trained them how to manage people remotely. We had multiple sessions with them, right? The other thing which was very important and key in this whole situation was that constant communication with people. I myself used to send out two messages every week, apart from the global messaging that was done from the group. And then also it pushed us to, from the client perspective, because clients were also not coming to branches, and businesses were open, they wanted to do transactions. So lot of investment in a very short span of time on the digital platforms to serve our customers better, right? And also enable them to do lot of transactions uh, by sitting at home,
While
not
being
coming
at
to
home.
office, right? See, this
Absolutely.
this change we wanted to bring in, for probably for the been trying to do this for the last couple of years. But people, when they have options, they
Yeah.
always opt for the where they feel comfortable, right? So
Yes.
one hypothesis that I had in the beginning came true, that if you really want people to adopt something, take away all the alternatives from them. And this
And I think COVID
pandemic,
did that for us.
it actually, it
Yeah.
took away all the alternatives. We did not have any choice. And now we see is that people have adopted these things which we have been trying for them to adopt for the last 2 years. So all these new, and obviously we have rolled out different tools, and we build on those tools to develop collaboration, teamwork, because through these digital platform that we have.
Absolutely. I think that's an excellent effort that Standard Charter has actually done, and hats off to the team. So, as Omar, you spoke about, a lot about self-learning. You spoke about care and growth, and you also mentioned that how important it was to upscale the skill set of the people. So, continuing with that, taking this thing forward, I'd like to come to Alia now because I believe Alia has something in her kitty that she's going to take out right now, and she's going to talk about the 4 skill sets that are required for a banking professional of the future. So, Alia, over to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me here. And Umar, it was actually excellent to hear what Standard Chartered has done. I think a lot of these things we've done at Askari Bank as well. So I think, in most of the banking industry after the COVID crisis evolved, the industry needed to rethink strategies around how to get work done and how to serve consumers. And there had been a very steady but slow digital banking transformation. But this pandemic actually catapulted the industry into the future of work almost instantaneously, I think. And I do understand that it's important that to go forward with the new normal. We don't know what the new normal is going to be. But what we know for now, for the last few months, and how it's evolving, it requires the organizations to really transform themselves. And the most successful organizations out of the banking industry will be those where leaders adjust to the changes along with everyone within the bank. And we have already experienced it, but also we need to remain very flexible as to the possibilities ahead. And this actually links with the skill set that we would require as bankers, wherever we may be. So I think there are 4 main elements that we need to sort of consider when we are looking at this. And the first and foremost is having a relationship of being an advisor. Bankers essentially need to have a visionary focus. And how do you have that visionary focus? Bankers need to think out of the box. They need to predict emerging changes, and they need to envision solutions. And this skill is extremely useful in any industry, but particularly so in banking, because bankers need to think out of the box. And when you connect that with the resilience that comes with out of box thinking, it also connects to my second component, where the second skill that we need to have, and that is of analytical skills. Now, when we talk about thinking out of box, and when we talk about being an advisor to the consumer and also internally, we need to be able to have the focus, and we also need to be able to innovate. So in analytical thinking will actually lead to results. Analytical thinking will lead to our asking questions and leading to responses or answers to those questions. So it's really important as a skill to
Very
develop
true.
analytical thinking. Now, going forward, then what else do we need? We need to be agile. So how do we become agile? For becoming agile, we really need to know how to re-engineer. So when we talk about digital transformation, when we talk about processes, which is the next step actually into how we transform, the first thing is essentially to be agile requires that we are able to re-engineer. And for re-engineering, we need to be innovative, which I was talking about earlier. And only then we can also be good advisors in any area. And then the fourth element, which is processes. And when we talk about processes, it's really not about creating a process and putting it here, there, and then just being happy about it. The processes and the change in the processes has to be constant, and it has to be through technology. It has to be through data. And this is one of the largest component of skill or reskilling that would be required within banking sector. And also it actually links very closely with the recruitment strategy of a bank as well. Because a lot of times we are very inward looking as an industry. And when we look inward, our digital skills and our technology skills and the data skills are nowhere near what we require right now. So that means that when we are going forward and looking towards the future of banking, we also need to see that we need to bring people into the industry from other industries. We also need to connect. If you're talking about UX or UI designs or talking about big data or digital or data visualization, we need to think about the people that we have and how we can reskill them,
It's
and
very
also the
important.
people we can bring in. So from both perspectives, I think it's extremely important that these four skills, that we are the advisors, and we are providing the advisory, we have the analytical skills, we can re-engineer, and we can create processes which are forever essentially dynamic and changing. These are the four areas that bankers really need to think about. And of course, this has the whole overall umbrella of having the industry knowledge. So when we talk about industry knowledge, I'm talking not essentially only of the regulator or knowing your regulator, but you also need to understand what is happening, for example, in fintechs. So successful banking professionals, they need to manage a lot of risks, and they need to have that analytical rigor. And how do they get that? Just like consultants, they need to be able to think and solve problems, predict, avert problems. And all this essentially becomes the umbrella in which we have to work
Excellent.
in future. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Alia. Thank you so much. I think both of you have shed light on, you did touch a little bit about the employee stress. And now that the offices are, gradually opening up, is there any one good tip that you would like to give related with stress management? Just one quick tip, if I could ask Umar, a quick tip to the employees for reducing their stress.
I think it's difficult to give one tip, but I think accepting the reality is very important, and adjusting to
Right.
that reality, right? Because if you live in state of denial, right, that no, COVID is nothing, it will not, or any kind of thing, nothing, then you will not be able to adapt to the requirement of the new norm that we are talking, right? When you
Absolutely,
don't adapt,
absolutely.
then obviously that create anxiety, and that create little bit of frustration, right? So accepting the reality,
And
adopting new
facing
norm.
it.
Yes.
Right, absolutely. I think, Umar, that's an excellent point. Alia, could you just quickly give a point related with stress or mental health?
Yes, absolutely. I think the first and foremost idea, which I at least, and a lot of our teams here now work on, that's really, you have to have fun at work. It's really not, it's not a job.
Absolutely.
It's so exciting to come to work, to be able to see the transformation. This is something historic. We are part of a huge historical transformation and disruption, and how we are there as leaders and in each and every area that we work in. That is the focus that we need to have. What can I bring to the table? And all of us, wherever we are bringing amazing innovations within the industry and within our own banks. And we have so many wonderful stories coming from each and every area from across Pakistan. People coming together, collaborating, creating small teams and working. And that is what actually reduces the stress, because the stress is coming from the unknown. And the unknown needs to be defined, and we need to take it forward. Okay, we know what we want out of this unknown. We know how to steer this ship forward and make it work for everyone. And that
I
that
think
that
that's
requires a constant communication also within HR and outside HR with each other. So that's how it works, I think.
I think excellent 2 points. Face the reality and navigate through it, and then have fun at workplace. We're living in such an unexpected times, and I think we're all coming out of it gradually. So I think that's an amazing point to handle stress. With this, we'd like to move to the next segment on the comments part. Our viewers can see the chat box, and I encourage all of you to write down your comments. And then Umar and Alia, you can also pick a comment and give your perspective on it. So I'm also looking at it, and you can also look or find anything that you find interesting. Sayed Farhan just said, very well said, Miss Alia. The process improvement in most of the banking sector needs to be explored and adapted for more agile work environment.
And then there is Naya who says, how do you start uplifting the processes to upskill the company's employees where the motivation is dead in them? So I think this is really important. Motivation comes from a number of areas. So I think that again requires a lot of conversations. What we've done at Askari Bank is that we have been having these conversations. uh, you need to be open first and foremost. You need to be honest and open and fair in your dealings. So how does that work when we talk about the whole of HR interacting with employees? I think the most important thing is that this lack of motivation is being driven by certain factors, and that those factors need to be investigated first, of course. So I do also think that motivation is never dead in everyone. So you have an
I
employee base, and 100% of employees will never be demotivated. There will be 15 to 20% employees who are highly motivated, and they are intrinsically motivated employees as well. So you need to also focus on those employees and create teams utilizing the skills and also the energy of these employees, and create and build those teams and expand them and bring those people in who require to be motivated. And also, I think their sense of purpose needs to be instilled, and that requires, again, working in small teams and creating a purpose. And that purpose can be, when you look at a branch, for example, or a BM and an OM, the purpose is still there, but how that purpose is communicated sometimes goes missing. So creating those links, creating communication channels, which are multiple, and also creating the right type of policies so that you are
that's
able to
that's
get all the
Yeah,
things together.
I would like to pick up two questions actually from here, if you allow me to.
yes, Umar. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. The first question is from Ras Masood, right? What HR can do build a culture of risk
Culture.
management? I think
Yes.
uh, we have been building a culture of risk management for I don't know for how many years. That's not the we have Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3 risk management framework. We have controls, we have regulators. I think that's not the challenge. It's not that we need to. I think what we need to do is personal conduct. We need to focus on personal conduct, because if people if staff conduct is a lie is as per the code of conduct, I don't think any issue, we would have any issue. So risk management is already is taken care of. It's just that how individuals behave, or in the organization, that is important. And let me tell you, this is the most important uh,
It
function
is.
for me in AHR to work on the code of conduct. And let me tell you, we are celebrating a conduct week in the organization, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so create awareness around all these things which are mentioned in code of conduct. Code of conduct is something which is and the personal accountability, that's something that we need to encourage. And if somebody is breaching it, how we are dealing with it, that is important. The second point is which is I think
Can I make a comment before you
yeah,
just
sure,
move on to
sure.
the second one? I'd like to encourage our viewers to post more comments so that our panelists can address them. And also, I just want to add that you said staff conduct is important. Alia said staff motivation is important. And with that, all of these things are contagious. So if you're happy, you radiate that happiness. If you're in a bad mood, you radiate that. So I think it all clubs at workplace how effectively we can do that. Yes, Omar, over to you. You can pick up the other comment, please.
Okay. I think Ras has actually commented on my comment, so I'll pick up Ras later. I just want to pick up the other point, which is the work-life balance. I think this has been a area of concern for the bankers, right? And when we talk about new, and I agree with that, right? Work-life balance is a challenge in the banking industry, and
Yes.
but personally, if you ask me, I think this is something which is it's an individual's own hand. So organization will not take care of your work life balance because they want you to work and deliver, right? So you have take the responsibility of work life balance in your own hand. But I think what we are talking about, new ways of working, flexibility, working from home, I think that is something which would help us to create a balance between work and life, right? And
True.
work life balance is not going home for 6 o'clock every day, right? So
Hmm.
there's a big I think it needs a lot of time, but in my view this new ways of working would definitely help work life balance. Okay, now the other thing Ras has discussed, and I think valid point, this is the concern that we had also. He's saying that working from home would create some issues of risk management. Ras, yes, initially it will, but you need to relook at the processes, right? You need to simplify the processes and also the infrastructure that you have in place, right? For example, let me tell you that we ran payroll from home for 4 months, right? So but I think it needs
That's
lot
a
of,
good example.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it needs little more investment in technology and tools. Yes, there will be a risk initially, but that risk can be mitigated. That's not something which we can't mitigate.
Excellent. Alia, we just have few minutes left. Is there any comment that you'd like to take? Then just the last one.
So yes, there's one by Furkan, how we see the leverage of upskilling or reskilling in the new normal with the perspective for L&D in technology banking. I think this pandemic actually, and to meet the challenges, companies have already started crafting new talent strategies. These are essentially to be focused on developing employees' critical digital and cognitive abilities, also their social and emotional skills, because you cannot separate both of them. And that needs to also be incorporated into adaptability and resilience. So, mostly the banking industry, I think we have had to really jump on the bandwagon in terms of changing the way we were going through our learning and development processes, bringing in e-learning, and having virtual classrooms. But this will have to go much more beyond that now, and this is the time for learning and development professionals to really take the reins in their hands, essentially, because the main focus of all the budgets in terms of technology also remains pretty much focused on the digitalization and the digitization also. So that's why I think it's important for companies to double down on their learning budgets, and they need to commit to reskilling as we speak. Thank you.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I would like to, if you give allow me, because two good questions, I would like to respond to that. Right, building on what Alia is saying. Under the new ways of working, the some of the skills which used to be treated as soft skills are actually become core skills,
Yeah.
because like collaboration, innovation, teamwork, empathy, interpersonal skills. So all these skills used to be treated as soft skills or good to have skills, right? But under the new ways of working, these are core skills. Unless you don't have these skills, you would not be able to work under the new norms. The
That
second
is so
point,
true.
yeah, the second point is asked by Amar and Wasim also, that how
Yeah.
much HR, banking HR is ready, future ready for the digital disruption. I can only say about my function or my bank, I think we have invested a lot, right? But I think HR is the last function who would look at how to be future ready, and that's the dilemma. the the function which will drive this whole thing, or which will drive this whole thing in the organization, is not focusing on upskilling their own people. I think this is something that we need to. I would suggest that please have another summit on this particular topic only.
Topic. Yes, I totally agree. Given
Because if
given
you don't upskill yourself as an HR professional, if you are not
true.
aware of what is happening around the world in digitization, you will become obsolete. I'm telling you.
I, this is an excellent point of actually becoming obsolete, and I think as we reach towards the end of our dialogue, I would actually just like to pose a question to our viewers. Do you look at yourself as a game changer, a disruptor? Are you ready for the next paradigm shift? If the answer is a no, then I'm going to give you some very powerful takeaways from Omer and Alia actually, and that can turn your no into a big yes. So Omar spoke about upskilling. So if you can see the icon here, it's about upskilling yourself. With the availability of the internet, the world is now open to us. And as he said, you'll become stagnant, you'll become irrelevant if you do not upscale yourself. They also spoke about being innovative, about coming up with new things. If you don't come up with new things, somebody else will, and success will be theirs. And the last point that Alia spoke about was to be the change that you want to see. So the only thing between you and your goal, remember, is yourself. With this, thank you, panelists, for the fantastic, thoughtful insights that you've shared today. And it was amazing being the moderator of this panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Umar.
you.
Thank you, Umar and Alia.
Thank you.
Uh, Viewers, after this, we'll display a video on Telenor, and then there's going to be a question answer session. Thank you. Stay safe, stay blessed. Until next time. Bye bye.